Hello dear students, welcome back again to Chinmoy's YouTube channel. So today we are back with Darwin's theory of natural selection. I think yesterday you have already gone through the episode where I have taught about Lamarckism, that is theory of use and disuse, and laws of we can say that theory of use and disuse is also called the theory of inheritance of acquired characters, with examples, with the supporting examples, and with objections of Lamarck's theory we have taught yesterday. So please go through it, and today we are here with Darwin's theory. So without further delay, let us start with today's episode. Now, what are the learning objectives of today's lesson? At the end of today's lesson, we will be knowing that what is the natural selection theory. There are several examples which I have given to make this topic very simple. And last but not the least, we will be discussing about the main differences between Lamarckism and Darwinism. So please do subscribe to my channel, dear students, if you want to learn more regarding this lesson as well as other upcoming lessons and what I have taught you earlier. You need to subscribe to my channel, and I'll be doing a quick revision also with all this lesson. So stay tuned, stay updated, and please subscribe to my channel. So let us start with today's episode. Now let us first do a quick introduction to who is Charles Robert Darwin. So Charles Robert Darwin, he was an evolutionary scientist, biologist rather. He was born in 1809 and he died in 1882. Now he explained a main thing, that evolutionary principle, in his famous book, that is in The Origin of Species, 1859. So the book mainly it was based on evolutionary principle, and he described the origin of species by means of the process of natural selection. So natural selection is the theory which he proposed, that is called the theory of natural selection or Darwinism. So this is his theory, that is theory of natural selection, or it is called Darwinism. Okay, so what does this theory refer to? And before that, we need to learn a little bit history about this Charles Darwin. Let us go to the history. Now in 1831, he went on a voyage of world exploration on a ship named HMS Beagle, and he visited the Galapagos Island and many other islands during his journey and studied the flora and the fauna of South America. Flora and the fauna means the natural vegetation and the birds and animals. He studied everything in this Galapagos Island as well as in other islands, and it was a voyage of world exploration. So what did he observe during his trip or voyage on this HMS Beagle, so to Galapagos Island? So let us see what did he observe. So the first observation of Darwin during his voyage was so what he observed, that Darwin found that there are nearby islands in the Galapagos had similar but non-identical species of finches living on them. So these are the finch birds. Okay, so he observed that there were many non-identical species of finches. So moreover, what he noted, that finch species, they are well suited for the environment and the role. So for instance, what is happening now, this species that ate large seeds, they tended to have large tough beaks, whereas those who ate insects had thin sharp beaks. So their structure of the beak was modified as per their food they are eating. If they are eating large seeds, they have large and tough beaks, and if they are eating small insects, they had thin and sharp beaks. So finally he observed what, that other animals also found on Galapagos Islands were similar to species on nearby mainland of Ecuador, but different from those elsewhere in the world. Why? Because there they have they are having many evolutionary changes in their body depending on the food they are eating. Now here you can see in this diagram that large insectivorous finch, they are having this type of beak, whereas vegetarian, they are having a different kind of beak. Whereas small insectivorous tree finch, it is also having different beak. Woodpecker who is on digging on the wood, it is having a tough beak. So many are there. Okay, so many varieties of finches are there who are having different types of beak. Now this was his first observation. Now Darwin's theory also, they told that living beings have a biotic or reproductive potential. What does these mean? That living things can produce in huge amount so that their number grows geometrically. So they are having a power to reproduce as such that geometrically their number increases. So what is happening if we are taking an example of paramecium? So it divides 3 times by the means of binary fission. Okay, and we can say that in 24 hours under favorable conditions. So in 24 hours it can we can say that it can divide 3 times. So at this rate it can produce 280 million clones. So it is producing 280 million clones. So it is a huge number. And in 5 years it can produce having 10,000 times than that of the size of the earth. So if it is producing at such a huge amount, so obviously they'll have limited food and space to form a major part of carrying capacity of the environment. So there will be crisis of food and space. So if they are producing, if animals keep on producing in such a great amount, a great potential, they are having, we can say that they are having a space and food problem. So that should be maintained by the food chains, and the biogeochemical cycles should be, it should be maintained. So despite having enormous potential or having large progenies, the size of the population of any kind of these organisms, they remain within a limit. How? The question is that after producing so many individuals, organisms, but still they are having a balance, they are within a limit. How? Because the population size is maintained by the struggle between the members of species. So there is an intra-specific struggle. So there is an intra-specific struggle. This is an intra-specific struggle between the organisms or members of the same species. So intra-specific struggle is there between the members of the same species. Okay. Now, and there is an interspecific struggle for food, space, and mate with the members of other species. So this is within the species. When they are struggling, it is called the intraspecific, and when they are struggling with the other species, so that is called the interspecific struggle. Okay, this struggle is as they are competing for food, space, and they are struggling for mate. Okay, so that is between the members of other species. So this is how they are, after producing a lot number of progenies also, they are having a certain balance. So there is always a competition amongst the organisms for obtaining resources, because there is a huge number of individuals there. So those who are fit to some favorable variations, they survive, and they keep on surviving in that environment, and those who are unfit for the environment, they die off, they don't reproduce, they can't fit to the environment. So this process is called the natural selection. So those who are fit for the existence, and those who are fit enough for that favorable variations, they survive and they keep on reproducing. So this process is called natural selection. Is it clear to all? And we can say that during drought, many plants will survive while some will die off. So those who are surviving, they will transpire less, and they are able to absorb water from deeper layers of soil. This happens in case of organisms also. Having favorable variations to reproduce, they pass these from generations, from their progenies, to generation after generation. So these variations, when accumulated for a long time, they lead to new species. Is it clear to everyone? So if they are continuing these variations, and when that is accumulated for a long period of time, that is giving a new species. So later on, with the progress in genetics, he told that these variations were modified, and they were known as synthetic theory of evolution. And this theory states that origin of species is mainly based on what? Interaction of genetic variations and natural selection. So then this theory was told, it was modified on the basis of genetics, and then it was named as synthetic theory of evolution. So then it was named as synthetic theory of evolution. Is it clear to all? So if you are having any doubts, please you write in my comment box so that I can clear it up in the next lesson. Now this theory is based on the origin of species and on genetic variations and natural selection. So it is also based on genetic variation, as well as just now I have discussed about natural selection. So how it is nature is selecting them. So it is actually those who are fit for the environment, those who are struggling in that favorable environment, they can survive and reproduce, and those who are unable to survive, they are either dying off or they are gradually going out of this fight. So natural selection is that the stronger you are, the ability you are having to cope up with the favorable conditions or unfavorable conditions, you will survive. So there were several examples to support this natural selection. So let us move on to the examples. So first, what we have told in the previous slide also, the mechanism that Darwin proposed for evolution is called the natural selection. Now, organisms with heritable trait that favor survival. So this is what I tried to explain in the previous slide. So in this slide, I have written it in the form of notes. Just follow it. So I told that organisms with heritable trait, that is the gene which is being carried from the ancestors to the next generation, that favor survival and reproduction, will tend to leave more offspring. So those who are surviving they will be reproducing and leave more offspring than their peers, and causing the traits to increase frequency over generations. So they are increasing their frequencies over generations. Natural selection, it causes populations to become more adapted. So they are adapting more to the environment, or increasingly well suited to their environments over the time. Now they are being adapted to the environment, and increasingly they are well suited to their environments over the time. Now natural selection, it depends on the environment, and it requires the existing heritable variation in a group. So natural selection always depends on the environment, and it requires the existing heritable variation in a group. So what more it is doing? Now Darwin's model of evolution by natural selection, what I have discussed in the previous slide also, allowed him to explain the patterns what he has seen during his travels. So what are the patterns he saw? So for instance, in the Galapagos finch species, they shared a common ancestor, and it made sense that there should be broadly they are resembling each other, and the mainland finches who likely share that common ancestors. Now as they are sharing a common ancestor, their general characteristics are same, but they are resembling each other, but their beak pattern has varied due to the change in the food pattern what they are in. So if group finches have been isolated on separate islands for many generations, however, each group would have been exposed to different environment in which their different heritable traits might have been favored, such that different sizes and shapes of beaks using the food sources. Now these factors could have led to the formation of distinct species on each island. So the main thing is the food sources. So from the food they are depending. So food only, that is the thing which gave them the different shapes and sizes of beak. So these factors could have led to the formation of distinct species of finch on each island. Okay, is it clear to everyone? So this is what was his observation in the Galapagos island and in this finch species. Now next to which there is another observation, that is industrial melanism. So what is this term industrial melanism means? So this happened, that is it is taken in case of a peppered moth. This is a peppered moth in England, and most frequently discussed example of natural selection. So it refers to an increase in the number of dark colored moth due to industrial pollution. So this is also referred to as industrial melanism. So why did it happen? So before industrial evolution, these dark colored moths were hardly known. So these moths were not known at all. These moths were only present, that is the light colored species. Gradually what happened? These light colored species, they decreased in number because due to increase in sulfur pollution due to burning of coal, the lichens disappeared, exposing the dark bark. So lichens were there on the barks of the trees, they disappeared, exposing the dark barks, and these tree trunks became dark due to deposition of industrial soot and smoke. So as these plants, they became dark due to deposition of industrial soot and smoke, these light winged moths were easily visible by the predators. Okay, so the light winged moth, they were easily visible by the predators. It was difficult for them to camouflage. So gradually, as these light-winged moths, they were eaten easily by the predators. So to camouflage, they transformed or they changed the color of the wing to the dark one. And those who can transform, or those who were able to change their light colored species to become dark colored species, those who mutated rather, leading to dark colored moths from the light colored moths, they survived. So within a period of few years, what was visible? It was visible that the industrial and the polluted areas saw only the dark species of moth, and they were almost replaced by the light species. Why? Because this dark species only survived, and it was a natural selection at work, and the light-winged moths, they were easily being eaten away by the predators and they died off. So only the dark colored or the dark winged moth, they were present or they were survived. So this was another example of industrial, so we can say that this was another example of natural selection. Okay, this industrial melanism. So let us see what is there next. Now this is also the same diagram, only I have given industrial melanism. So this light colored moths were replaced by the dark colored moths, as due to the industrial revolution, the lichens from the plant bark, they disappeared, and these moths were easily visible than these moths. So they, to camouflage, they wanted to transform themselves to this, and those who transformed themselves to the deeper color moths, they survived. So what is the objections, or what objections came to this natural selection? Let us see that. Now it could not explain how the variations arise. They told that Darwin's theory of natural selection, it got wide acceptance, though it had a certain drawback. So what was the first drawback? It could not explain the variations, how these variations arose. He could not explain that. Now Darwinism could not explain the origin of new characters also. It could not expect the origin of new characters also, and scientists also claim that natural selection, it explains the survival of the fittest. So natural selection, it is explaining the survival of the fittest, and it could not explain how the arrival of the fittest happened. So it explained the survival of the fittest, that is those who are fit, those who are able to adapt to the environment, those who are able to adapt to the natural, the favorable as well as the non-favorable conditions of the environment, they survived, where those who could not, they didn't survive. So what is the main difference between Lamarckism and Darwinism? Let us see that. So the main difference between Lamarckism and Darwinism is it is based on the theory of inheritance of acquired characters, and Darwinism is based on the theory of natural selection. So those who are surviving, they are surviving as they are adapting to the environment. So it is the theory of natural selection. So the nature will select that who is the fit person to survive. Now it is believed that use and disuse of organ leads to acquiring a variation or a change in feature of that organ. And in Darwinism, it is believed that struggle for food and space eliminates the unfit individuals and favors the survival of the fittest. So it is favoring the survival of the fittest, and the unfit individuals, those who are unable to survive due to space and food problem, they are being rejected. So these are the main 2 points of difference between Lamarckism and Darwinism. So dear students, I think till now I am very much clear with 2 theories of evolution, that is Lamarckism and Darwinism. If you have not yet gone through the previous episodes of Lamarckism, I am putting the link above in the I box as well as in the description box below. Please do go through it and complete the lesson of evolution. Now for your reference, I have also given the topic of heredity earlier. I have also taught the topic of heredity, where I have taught about the Mendel's theories. So please go through that lessons also. I'll be putting the link up in the description box as well as in the down. So go through it, learn these lessons, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please do subscribe to my channel, because I'll be back with many more revision lessons and many more topics which are yet to be discussed. So thank you. Thanks a lot for your support, and please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.